We're here today with Tim Reeves of the Oregon 10th Amendment Center, and we're going to talk a little bit with him about the actual attempt that was made to raise the debt ceiling a few months back, and the agreement that was made for the Supercommittee to look for ways to do some cuts. Tim, what can you tell us about that?
Okay, so when they agreed to raise the debt limit earlier this year, they came up with a compromise. And the compromise was they were going to come up with $800 billion reduction in the rate of increase, or they called it an $800 billion cut. But that was over 10 years, and that was, so that's $80 billion a year. And then they were going to push off $1.2 trillion to what they called a Supercommittee. Now, the Supercommittee was a committee that once they came up with their agreement in committee, the Congress could either pass it or they could decline it, one or the other, but they couldn't amend it at all, which meant they thought it would put it above politics. Of course, as I predicted, and as most people who've paid attention to Congress over the last few years have predicted, it failed. The Supercommittee completely failed, and so the $1.2 trillion in automatic cuts that were supposed to happen if the Supercommittee failed, and the deadline is Thanksgiving, but they are hopelessly deadlocked and have said that they'd failed. So that $1.2 trillion is about to go through. And what I'm here to say is now there's calls for the Congress to get together and repeal the Supercommittee legislation that causes the automatic cut. And to his credit, Obama has said he's going to veto any legislation of that kind. I doubt that he would, but he said he will. What I'd like to say to the legislators is stop right here. Just let this $1.2 trillion reduction actually happen. It's the perfect opportunity for nobody to be the bad guy, so all the congressmen could say, well, we all failed, but everybody's taking a hit. And we could actually do something positive for the country. I realize that that is not normally in their DNA to do that. Something good for the country, not for them. They're normally all about getting reelected, buying votes. But I'm here to say, and this is just my 2 cents, 10th Amendment Center, don't do it. Sorry?
Okay, now let's make sure we're clear on something here. What they're talking about is actually a reduction in the amount of annual deficit, and they're talking about over a period of 10 years. Now, I'd like you to talk a little bit about the fact that essentially they're not cutting anything, really. They are simply decreasing the amount of money we're spending that we don't have. They're scaling back the expenditure of money we don't have. So still, there's no balanced budget. We are actually spending more than we have still, even with this. And the whole fact, I'd like you to talk a little bit about the fact that since it's over a 10-year period, how essentially future Congress can make changes to that so that it basically they don't have to abide by anything they agree to today. Talk about that, please.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. It's actually a reduction in the expected outgo. So that means the expected outgo is with the per year annual increases factored in, and the 1.2 trillion actually wouldn't go over that. And it is over 10 years. And of course, this budget gets redone every year by the Congress. And so anything that they schedule that doesn't happen in the first year is subject to what the next Congress does. So really all you can look at as far as a spending cut is what Congress does this year. That is the only spending cut that you can really expect to happen, because all the rest of them are going to be renegotiated in future years. One little thing, you might wonder why at the 10th Amendment Center we're worried about spending, we're worried about things like this. This would seem to be maybe out of the scope of the 10th Amendment. However, anytime that the government, the 10th Amendment Center is really about constitutional abiding federal government. We're about making the federal government live up to the Constitution, which is their law. So anytime that they spend money which is not authorized by the Constitution, then that money that they spend in such a way is unconstitutional. And in such a way, and because of that, I am very concerned that the federal government is violating the Constitution, on a daily basis by the way that they spend money. Larry?
That's great. Okay, Tim, thank you very much. Tim Reeves from the Oregon 10th Amendment Center.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.